denial of what I saw right in front of me. And every time I'm so damn lost to what I loved and what I lost. But let's get lost in love tonight. Hear a second voice inside my head. It's telling me to say the night again and hold on to the words we always said would be forever, forever. Wait another day to clear my thoughts, so jump into a love that won't be forgotten forever.
The creative director of Chemafreak Fashion and Chemafreak Fashion Academy here in Benin. And I'm glad to see beautiful ladies in here. What happens is that men don't want to be fashion designers. Like we are all ladies here. Well, I'm not that surprised anyway. So I'm glad that you are here. Young people, not just young, but young, innovative people. And we are all about doing things differently. That's things that might have been done before, being innovative, right? So we'll be discussing building Africa's economy through innovative solutions in fashion and design. So first, give yourself a round of applause. So if you have like a tailor or a fashion designer near your house, can I see your hand? If you know any tailor near your house, on your streets, fashion designer, tailor, right? So fashion designers and tailors are everywhere. Now, if you're coming into a field like that, that means you have to be able to think differently. You're going to separate yourself from everybody else. Else you can't do the same thing the same way and expect a different result. That's the reason we are here. Now what happens is that a lot of time you have that neighbor here, like a fashion designer or a tailor, and they are the same way for years. You don't see that progress, right? That's because that market is very saturated. It's like a pyramid where you have so many people at the bottom. And if you're going to come out of that bottom phase of things, you have to do things in different ways. It doesn't mean it cannot be profitable. It doesn't mean it's a wrong field for you. It just means you have to think of solutions. What are you bringing to the table? What's different about what you're doing? Why should we come to you? Okay? So, okay, I highlighted some things here which I'll be looking at. First, I want to thank the organizers of this program for inviting me. When I decided to be a fashion designer, I did see public speaking as one of my job descriptions. So thanks to TRUTHSPROUT Global Network for inviting me here. I'm glad to be in the midst of ladies. Okay? So, when you are through with secondary school, is anybody a graduate here? You're a graduate? University graduate. So if you are a graduate or you are through with secondary school, when you are through with secondary school, you are finishing, a finisher. But when you're rounding up your university education, you're a graduate. Except if you didn't get a good grade, then you're a finisher. So the idea is we've had this mindset that okay, let me just go to school and come out and get employed and jump into the market. That's the regular mindset that undergraduates and young people have in general. We have been told, we are groomed that way to think of ourselves as employees. Just come out of school, let the government employ me, or let one company employ me. Have you ever thought of it that these companies, these establishments were created by somebody? And that can be you. So which solution are you bringing forth? So rather than thinking of how the nation will serve me, you should begin to reason, how can I serve my nation? What solution am I bringing forth? We hear of unemployment everywhere. Am I going to create a platform for other people to get employed as well? So that should be your mindset. That's what you should start thinking of, whether you're a student now or you're just, thinking of the next phase of life. Start putting that in your mind. I have to be a solution. I have to create solution. I cannot come into the same pool that we have so many people in already and be a body. Now, it's great if you already have the qualification and you have an uncle somewhere and all of that is going to help you. I'm not against being an employee. It's okay. That's what people's calling, and that's fine. But if you are thinking towards entrepreneurship, you have to do it differently in an innovative way. If you are an educated person, you already have an advantage. Because education is not just about schooling. It's not just about the formal things you learn. It opens your mind, it broadens your knowledge. You are open to, you are wiser. Let's put it that way. So we must see it in whatever you do, not just fashion designing. Anything you find yourself doing at the end of the day, you must see the fact that you are educated must be obvious in it. Not about what you're doing, but how well you do it. In what ways are you doing it? Now let's look at fashion designing squarely. Like I mentioned earlier on, we have so many people doing the same thing. So look around, we'll be picking this example. That's your neighbor that is a tailor. We'll be looking at what problems do you think that person has, and how can you create a solution regarding to that. Now fashion designing has many aspects. We have the education aspect, which is fashion education, fashion school and all of that. If that's what you like, you can focus on it. We have bespoke and ready to wear. Bespoke tailoring is when people come to you for ashwebi, that you are making custom made garments. So people bring their outfits, they want to sew, they give you and you make it. That's bespoke tailoring. And we have ready to wear production. So what you're doing is producing outfits in sizes, and people come check their size, they buy. That's ready to wear. And we also have a newer fields opening. For instance, content creation for fashion design. That's another aspect. So there are other things like pattern drafting, those specializing in pattern making. We have fashion illustration, those specializing in drawing out designs. And there's a difference between being a tailor and being a fashion designer. Being a tailor means you know how to sew. Being a fashion designer, you may not necessarily know how to sew, but you know how to think of a design, you know how to represent your design and how to transfer that design to somebody else who will make it. Now you can be both, you can be a fashion designer and a tailor at the same time. So individually, the person that spoke, Mr. Omokaro, mentioned something about leveraging on your strengths. Some of you are already endowed in certain areas. If you know a lady that has a very nice voice, and maybe the person didn't do anything extra, they just came naturally. His voice, as in a good voice, is it bought? No, it's not an achievement, right? The person is just naturally endowed to sing well, and that voice can pave the way for the person. Just be in the right audience, let the right person hear your voice, and maybe a producer can call the lady, and they are made for life. So this thing happened because this lady is already empowered in that area. So the same thing for every other field. Some of you is strategic thinking, some of you is creativity, you know how to use your hands. Some of you is in execution, you know how to execute tasks. You have good leadership qualities. So discover yourself first. I need to mention this. Discover yourself first and your area of strength. From training my students, for instance, I realized that some brilliant people, it's not that they are dull or anything. They come and learn and they struggle all through. I've had a doctor, a medical doctor, who will actually soon be a consultant. We call that person you have gone through a rigorous training of being a medical doctor. And she was one of my toughest students because that's not her area of strength. She's not naturally endowed in it. So if you're going to have a competitive advantage, you must leverage on that strength. You must capitalize on it because not everybody is like you. Not everybody has that creative ability. Not everybody knows how to use their hands properly. So that alone has given you an edge. So if you're a creative person, you have an edge in that regard. You may go into tech and you may not do that well because you're not working with your strengths. Not everybody in life gets to work with their strengths, okay? Because from our secondary school, if you pass maths very well and maybe you did integrated science, they just assume you have to go to science class, right? So So we have been brought up that way, and some of us have passed that decision-making phase. We're already in a field that is not really ours, that we don't have the strength to. So not everybody will get that. But if you are in a decision-making phase and you know these things already, discover yourself and leverage on your strengths. So now let's bring it down to fashion designing. What ways can you employ innovation in fashion and design? Now your neighbor that is a tailor, one, this tailor, what should we call her? Let's give her a name. Okay, Auntie Mary. So Auntie Mary has experience. She has been a tailor for a while, and she usually has apprentices that come, they want to learn. Some of them stay 3 years and they can't really do much. So look at that problem. We have a pool of people, young people, they want to learn, but some shy away from such arrangements because one, they know they will waste their time, they know they will not learn well, they know they are limited to the outfit that Oga Madam is doing. They are not learning anything new apart from whatever Ashobi she gets to make. What does that tell you? There's a need, especially in Benin City, there is a need for fashion school. That's innovative way to think of that problem. Fashion school. So under fashion education, you can start up a fashion school. Before you even think of all of this, you must have gotten the right knowledge in the right place. You must know what you're doing, okay? Because nobody will patronize you in whatever you choose to do if they know you are not good at what you're doing. So that's the baseline for any other thing I'm going to say. It's very necessary that you learn and learn well, perfect your skills. So there's need in this environment, for instance, for fashion schools. Another thing you can do is to start thinking globally. If you are into fashion education, how can I then teach people beyond my immediate environment? Okay, fine, I now have a fashion school, or I want to start a fashion school, and I will teach people in Benin City, within the country. How can I reach people outside the country and still pass on this my knowledge? Two, creating online classes. Through our online classes, for instance, I've had students from Hawaii, US, UK. You don't expect those people to come all the way down to gain knowledge from you. Now with online classes, you can reach, just the way you can learn digital marketing, you can learn business skills online, you can learn fashion, you can teach fashion designing online, and there's a large pool of audience for this. Some people already went through a wrong system in their training and they want to revisit their foundation. You can start up a beginner's class for them, a foundation class. You can start up advanced courses for those who are advanced designers already. So that's one aspect you can leverage on as a fashion designer. This may not be what everybody else is thinking of, but we are all about thinking innovatively and acting accordingly, right? So let's talk about bespoke tailoring. Bespoke tailoring and ready to wear. Let me group these two together. Like I mentioned, bespoke tailoring is this regular. If that's what you want to focus on, fine. So once again, Auntie Mary has customers always coming to drag her. They come, Christmas time is Wala. She doesn't have any time to rest because people are coming for their clothes and you did not make my clothes. That should never be you. That should not be you. So how can you do that differently? You must have a good customer service. Your customer experience must be different. Your customer experience has to be different. Don't take more than you can chew. Put structure in your business. Now, one of the challenges those class of people have is trying to do everything by themselves. You must separate yourself from the business. You are not the business. You are an employer on that business. So you are paying yourself just the same way you pay your tailor or you pay other people. The business is not all about you. You should be able to function even without you being around. So create structures in your business. Have somebody employ tailors. If you're just starting up, no problem. You can start up in your room. It's soccer for small beginnings, like starting from home. I promote that a lot. But you shouldn't limit your mind to that. And once you notice that you started growing, you have started having more awareness, created more awareness around your brand, and people are beginning to patronize you more, it's time to get hands in other parts of the business. And still, even with those hands, don't take more than you can chew, because you cannot. That's embarrassing to your business. That's embarrassing to you yourself as a person. That should never be you. So another way you can do that aspect of fashion designing is by, hold on. Yes, so let's go back to Auntie Mary. So Auntie Mary doesn't have, how would I put it, she doesn't have business skills at all. So many people know how to do certain things, they have the skill, but they don't know how to manage the business. So alongside learning the skill, make sure you learn proper management of business. There are new skills that are necessary for any entrepreneur in this age, because the times are changing, so you must bring yourself up to standard with what is happening around you. You must learn business skills to manage any type of business. You must know about bookkeeping, you must know about advertisements, you must know about how to create the structure itself, the business skill on its own. Negotiation, networking. You know, there is no business without sales, and all of these are important for sales, important for you to track whether you are making profit or not. Now, the probability that Auntie Mary has, you know, tailors will always have jobs, right? The probability that Auntie Mary has an inflow of clients is very high. She will always have clients. But does this mean she's making profit? No. You can be very busy, but because you are not tracking your inputs, your income versus your expenses, you don't even know that you are making a loss. You just come. And things like pricing, you don't even know how to place the right price on your products. So alongside learning any skill, it is compulsory that you learn how to do business as it relates to your environment. Another skill you need as an entrepreneur in this age is digital skills. How will I put it? Know how to use social media, know how to create sponsored advertisements, leverage on the use of social media. Many of my students don't even come from my environment. A lot of them come through Google. They just search for a fashion school and they find us on Google. Many of them through Facebook, Instagram advertisements. So if you're looking at starting a fashion business, I know a lot of us haven't started, but these things will be handy at the end of the day. Start grooming yourself in all those aspects at the same time as you are learning the skills. So digital skills, very important. If you're making ready to wear, for instance, and you want clients outside Benin City, if you're in Benin City, how will you let them know the pieces you make? Put some pictures. You must know about photography a little bit, even if it's mobile photography. And certainly there are courses, simple courses, 5K, 10K courses that will teach you these things in details. So you must know a little bit about photography, you must know how to create content around your brand, those simple videos, and how to advertise them, how to edit and advertise to the world. That's the only way you can then reach people outside Benin, else you'll be limited to those people around you. Now you're doing bespoke tailoring. It's possible for you to get clients outside your immediate environment, not as much as you do with ready to wear anyway. I hope you know that many people do these things and they don't even have an outlet. It's not about having shop anymore. Many people don't start burden of rent, especially as a startup. You don't want that as a startup. You have that room at the corner of your house, it's a good place to start. Just paint one side, maybe white, put one flower somewhere. By the time you snap your picture, nobody knows that it was in your room or anything. So know how to use technology for your business. Don't be anti-technology. Because some people will be like, this is how our people have been doing it. But my mom was a tailor, this is how she did it. that's not the time for it. There's no time for that any longer. So now let's move on to the area of content creation, creating content as a fashion designer. So Auntie Mary will not think of something like this. For instance, we have a YouTube channel. I have a YouTube channel, and I earn from YouTube monthly. We earn in dollar on YouTube. I'm sure you know dollar versus naira rates keeps getting higher, and you will just be smiling with one side of your cheek. Okay, so those things take patience to build your audience. For instance, on YouTube, before you can start getting paid, you must have had 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours within the last 12 months. So that's one aspect you can consider. There are people I know today that they are not sewing for people. They are fashion designers, they've learned the skills, but all they are doing is creating content on YouTube. Because many people want to learn, not everybody can afford online classes, right? So some people just want to watch free. So for those people that want to watch free, you give them what they want so that Google can pay you. And not just in tutorials now. I capitalize on tutorials, but not just in tutorials. We have, you can do fashion journalism, that interview people or go into fashion schools or fashion houses and just let them tell you your experience, their experience as a fashion designer. You are more qualified to do that because you have that same knowledge. So you know the type of questions to ask, you know what to say to them, and let them come out of their shells and tell. That way you are helping people. You are helping people to have that same information. For instance, you can interview a startup, because many people want to know how is it like starting a fashion designing business. Interviewing a startup, for instance, I said, okay, how to start a fashion designing business, and I see your interview with a startup, I will gain knowledge. So beyond earning money, it builds your influence. And another thing YouTube helps you to achieve is influence beyond your environment. Because Nigeria, we don't even watch YouTube like that. People watch you. I'm saying we are still down there when it comes to watching YouTube. People in the Western world watch YouTube more. Lots of your audience will come from places like UK, US, India. So that way you're having a global influence. So whatever you're doing, you should be thinking globally. How can I capitalize on this my skills and reach other people? I hope you understand that. So this is a broad field. Okay, before I miss this, still on content creation. If you are good at writing, blog articles, you could go into that field of content creation, that's writing part of content creation. You could have a blog. How do bloggers earn? They earn through affiliate links in their blogs. They earn through affiliate marketing in their blogs. So you could look at that and leverage on it. In my experience, I won't advise you to try to pick up everything. So that's the problem lots of people have. They want to do this and do this and do that. At the end of the day, if you look critically, they are not doing any of it well, so you can't stand out that way. Pick out an area of interest. There's power in focus. Focus on that and do it well. Do it well in such a way that when they mention people in that field, your name can't be missed out. But if you're trying to, I want to do this particular, I want to do ready to wear, children's wear, some people will come and ask, do you do males wear? I've not even finished specializing when it comes to female wear, and you're asking me about males wear, because the fields are broad. We have people doing just children's wear, children's ball gowns, and they are doing really well. When people think of ball gowns, they think of such persons. So there is power in focus, in specializing, rather than trying to do everything. So in as much as you're probably in fashion school, you're thinking of doing one and you'll be taught generally, when you're through with that, go for internship and learn more in that area, in a particular area. Go for internship in a place that's dealing with what you're interested in, so that you learn more in that area and you can specialize in that particular area. Okay? So, okay, that would be all. If you have questions, you can put it down. I believe we'll be having a joint question and answer session. Except if you have something you need to ask me personally.
Is it possible as a fashion designer that you'll be an all-rounder, like that fashion market, you'll be good in it, and also be good in making baby dress, like you said, and making adult wear. Is it possible that you
It's possible to be good in many, but it then takes strength of character to live. You have to first analyze, depending on your environment, which of these is now more profitable, because it will be more about the profit you can make now since you're good in the both of them. So, but you still need to specialize. At the end of the day, maybe when you become like a large company already and you want to bring in those other aspects, it's perfectly fine, in that you won't be the one handling them. So you employ hands. Maybe you have a branch that's just dealing with males wear. You have somebody handling it completely, and then you have another person handle another aspect completely. But if you are the one trying to run around, customer come, you are measuring, then you are drafting the pattern, then you are sewing. When you are sewing, another customer will come, you leave it and go and sew. Your mind will be so divided that you won't be able to focus much.
When you are starting from this person that just like average person, the standards you are trying to reach, they cannot meet up with like a big standard, and these persons around you are not really, they're not willing to pay. Like you have most of the market women around you, and what you are aiming for is not harassment. How and when you start building these standards, that is just scratch, how do you manage that kind of
Because you have to know the value of your time. Now, a lot of us have this challenge when you are in a particular environment and the people around you, they are not used to the type of work you're doing, they don't want to pay you accordingly. One, you must ensure that what you are bringing to the table is actually what you're charging. Okay, for instance, I'm no longer doing bespoke tailoring, and it was because of what you said. I realized lots of people around me, like I said, tailors are everywhere, right? But people do things differently. For instance, I use patterns and that takes more time, but when you come, those that know your work, they will definitely find you. When you come and you see the fit and you see the type of lining, so it will be worth it. So I realized those people keep coming. Now, new people that I know that just around me, that still want that kind of quality, you have to be careful in business, else you will have so much jobs without making profits because of the quality you are aiming at. Now you must find a way to reach your target market, the type of people you want to work with. If they are not where you are, you sponsor the advertisement to target them, display your work and target them. They are all on social media. They are on YouTube, they are on Facebook, they are on Instagram. And you can do one-on-one advertising. I have a series of videos on my YouTube channel talking about this other aspect, business aspect of fashion design. You must find a way to reach them. Another option, which is kind of extreme, is change your environment. If you have the means to change your environment, especially for bespoke tailoring, environment tends to affect a lot the people around you. In as much as you can reach those people far away, but before you travel from GRA to Isio, for instance, the person will have seen lots of other tailors that are equally, that are probably good. Let me say probably. So you must find how to reach your right customers and also ensure that your work is good, is different from every other person. Those that know your work will look for you, and if you need to change your environment. Okay, different between the two. Okay, like I mentioned earlier on, bespoke tailoring simply means you are making custom-made outfits. I need an ashrabi or I need clothes for myself, and you take my measurements and make it for me. Okay, so bespoke tailoring can sort for fabric for me, or I can bring my fabric to bespoke tailoring as long as you are making it for a specific person that's custom-made clothing. While ready to wear, you are producing those pieces in sizes. You have a size chart, size 8, size 10, size 4. So those that need it will come or you advertise premium wear that is some ladies wear. It can be done here or it can be start off so that you won't run into them producing so much and not selling more. that has to create awareness across the market itself.
She's going to be asking some of the questions. And so, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Tina. Thank you very much.
This question is directed to Mrs. Kemi. The question says, how can one build a good fashion industry? And how can one stand out in the fashion industry? And I think there's a second question that's related to it. It says, fashion doesn't really entail sewing of clothes, as you said. Is it fair to say that the fashion industry also covers giving fashion advice, as in consultancy? So what are some other areas in the fashion industry that are not just sewing clothes? Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to believe the first question on building a good fashion home. We spoke at large about that. That starting up rightly, gaining not just the crafty part of your skill, but also gaining business skills alongside, standing out, learning about content creation, advertisement, and putting all of these skills into your business. Because the market is, wide, we have so many people in this, so you must find a way to stand out, a way to distinguish yourself. Okay, so the second question, what's the second question?
The second question is consultancy in fashion industry, or what other areas of fashion can one explore apart from sewing?
Okay, so apart from sewing, we mentioned, I told you that there's a difference between being a tailor and being a fashion designer. So being a tailor, you know how to sew, but a fashion designer, you know how to create designs, how to communicate your design. So you don't necessarily have to know how to sew. You may know how to sew, which is an added advantage, by the way, but you don't necessarily have to know how to sew. So we have people who just specialize on drafting patterns, they're pattern drafters. We have fashion illustrators, we have fashion content creators, we have bloggers, we have YouTube content creators. They all have the same skill of fashion designing, but what aspect do you want to focus on? And what aspect are you leveraging on?
Awesome. Are you getting value? You're getting value. So for every time.
Thank you, TRUTHSPROUT Global Network, for this opportunity. So I'll be introducing to you Chemafric Fashion Academy, where we run fashion designing training program for 3 months and for 6 months. You can choose which to go for. The 3-month basic program is for those who just want to have knowledge for yourself. You just want to be making your own outfit, or to start up a very simple, basic, ready-to-wear business. And we have 6-month program for those who want to go into fashion designing professionally. So a lot of people I have had contact with, some had some bad experiences before now, and that one of the core areas of my interest is to provide an enabling environment for youth to learn these skills. For instance, I have students that come and their stories they learn somewhere else for 1 year, but they can't still do it. So the question, in 6 months, are you sure I can learn this? Are you sure I'll be this grounded? So we have a method, we have curriculum we follow, we have a good structure in place, we have facilities for you to learn and practice hands-on. So at the end of the day, you would have gained the skill and be ready for the market. And we don't just end with the crafty parts of the business. You learn business skills, you learn digital skills alongside to help you stand out as a 21st century entrepreneur. So we are looking forward to having you. A new session starts by November. So I hope I'll be seeing some of you come around. Thank you very much. So how was your experience?
It was great.
Okay. Hope you had fun, Sha. I know you were working, filming. Thank you so much. You are a lifesaver. Thank you. There's no way I will have vlogged this if you were not available. Will I be carrying cameras again? Hello, my day. So guys, we are through and I'm heading home right away. It was a nice time, and the entire program was grouped into sessions. So some people were in my team, we talked about fashion designing. We had people talk about leadership. We had another group where they discussed photography and so on. It was 6 plenary sessions in total. So, and afterwards we had a question and answer session, and then I told them a little bit about Chemafric Fashion Academy at the end of it all. So it was a nice experience, and we have an award. Where's the award? Yo, baby girl has an award from TRUTHSPROUT Global Network. So this is the award. So it was a nice experience, and I was a little bit anxious because I thought I'll be talking to a larger audience. I'm not that used to public speaking. I'm still learning. I know it's a necessity, but I just tried my best to prepare a little bit. So you can imagine preparing for a larger audience and you now have a small audience. Your mouth will just be doing pop, 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 pop. You'll be feeling like you are the sharpest person I've been. That was what happened. So because my mind, I thought it was a larger audience, so I prepared some stuff, and it was kind of easy for me to now deliver with a smaller audience because there was a division, like I mentioned earlier on. So thank you very much for watching, and thank you once again.
You're welcome.
Okay guys, that will be the end of this vlog. Bye. I hope you took one or two things from whichever part of the program. Bye.